Hey everybody, this is Peyton with Gathering Hope, and I have a special guest with me today, Amparo Houston, and she is going to share a little bit of her story. She drove into Gathering Hope last Saturday from the Austin area, so I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about her family, and then we'll go into her story. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Amparo Houston. I live in Round Rock, and that's about 10-15 minutes away from Austin. I live in Round Rock with my husband, Tim, and our firstborn son, Timothy, who is 2.5, and our 2 dogs. And we live here in Texas. We love our life, and we actually came upon Gathering Hope through our experience with stillbirth.
Okay.
Our second son was born, stillborn. We got pregnant with Toby 6 months after Timmy was born.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we were ready to go.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. My husband was like, slow down. I was ready to go. And so we got pregnant right away once we started trying. And Toby's pregnancy was a little bit different than my firstborn.
Okay.
Timmy was so easy. He was so easy. He was so, no complications, no anything, no morning.
The kind of pregnancy that makes you want to do it again, right?
Yes, exactly. And so with Toby, I realized very quickly that it was so different.
Tell me more about that.
So he was just a lot more active. I could
Okay.
feel him. He would kick me awake at night because he was just so active. And Timmy was not like that at all.
Okay.
He was active, but it wasn't to the point where he was waking me up at night. But even with both my pregnancies, Toby was still developing normal. There were no complications. Everything was good. There were no any type of warning signs that would hint to something being wrong. And so I realized something was wrong when I woke up one day and I noticed that he wasn't moving as much.
Okay.
And so that was like my first indication that something was wrong. And that day we ended up going to the hospital. And just to check it out, I was 36 weeks and 3 days. And I was just kind of expecting that he was going to come a little earlier. And that my biggest worry at that point was my nursery wasn't done. And, now I think about it, and it was just such a trivial thing to think about. But anyway.
It's not trivial, it's normal. There's nothing trivial about that.
And I remember not even thinking or the thought crossing my mind that anything could be wrong. I just thought, he was just taking it easy, and they're going to tell us everything's fine and go home and quit worrying, and everything's fine. And we went to the hospital, and at that point I realized that we heard his heartbeat.
You did.
And yes, we heard his heartbeat, but it was declining. So at that point it was emergency C-section time. A lot of people coming in the room. It was a big commotion.
Fast and furious.
Exactly. It was just very fast, and the next thing I know, I'm in the operating room. And the doctor decided that she was going to put me under anesthesia. And so I went under, and then when I came back out, I remember being rolled into the hospital room. And obviously my first question was, where's Toby? Where's the baby?
Of course. Yeah.
And my husband at that point grabbed my hand and told me that Toby didn't make it.
Wow.
And that he had not survived birth.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Our stories are very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it was just denial at first. Like I was certain they had switched babies somehow, or they had made a
Yeah.
mistake, something had happened, and that wasn't Toby.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't sink in till they brought him. I was able to hold him,
Good.
and I held him for 3 days.
Wow.
Wow, yes.
Wow.
Thank God for that. I got to hold him for 3 days.
Yes.
And after that, we had to make funeral arrangements, and 10 days later, we had his service.
Okay.
So after that, it was just learning to cope with everything that had happened and adjusting to the new reality
Right.
of not bringing home our baby,
Yeah.
which was such an adjustment because you planned for so long to have this life, and the baby doesn't come home with you, and so it's a different thing to just completely adjust to.
I don't think there's anything more shocking
Yes.
to a mother. And no matter at what point in your pregnancy, you could be very early in your pregnancy, and there's still just nothing more shocking to a woman or to a family, that you won't be bringing that baby home. Thank you for sharing, Toby, with us. So since when was he born? Remind us.
7/11 of 2018.
7/11, 2018. I'm writing his birthday down and his name. Got his name up right here. So tell me a little bit about before we hopped on to this chat. We were talking a little bit about what you've been searching for since Toby passed. So can you tell me a little bit about how you found Gathering Hope and why you signed up to come to the gathering?
Of course. So the first thing after I'd kind of like gathered my bearings and I understood kind of what happened, at that point it was I wanted to seek community. I wanted to talk to other women that had experienced what I had experienced. And I think the other shocking thing about that was that I knew nobody. No one in my family, none of my friends that I had at the time could relate to what I had experienced with Toby.
Yeah.
And that was also kind of isolating in a sense because you have friends and family that want to support you and that want to encourage you, but they can't empathize because they haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
So I went online and I started searching for groups or organizations or anything that I could find that could connect me with people that had experienced what I had experienced.
Okay.
And that's how I found Gathering Hope.
Awesome.
And then it was the most local organization that I was able to find.
Okay.
That was, even though it's still, 3 hours away.
Right.
It was only 3 hours away.
Right.
It wasn't, 20 hours away or across the ocean somewhere. It was someplace where it was doable to go and connect. And then I heard about the Gathering Hope event in Fort Worth that was coming up. And so that was an event that I was hesitant to go to at the beginning.
Sure.
I wasn't sure if I would go. I wasn't sure if I'd go by myself or if I could bring a buddy with me.
Did you bring somebody with her or did you come alone?
I came by myself.
Brave mama. Yeah.
Yeah. In retrospect, though, I wish I would have brought my mom with me.
Okay. Tell me more about why.
In the event, I saw other mamas with their mothers. I saw grandmothers there. And so that for me kind of like brought up to my attention how my mom also experienced the loss with Toby. Like she was also impacted by him not being here.
Yes.
And sometimes we get so involved in our own like grief that we don't realize how it's impacted our other family members. And with my mom, I saw that she also suffered loss with Toby not being here.
Not just Toby, but you. She's grieving for you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, her feeling kind of like, I don't know what to do for you because I've never experienced this before. I don't know how to support you.
Right.
but just her also. But I remember her coming to me and telling me how she also felt sad because she wanted her grandson. She was also expecting a grandson. She was
Yes.
expecting life. And so I wish I would have taken her with me.
Yeah.
She actually stayed behind to watch Timmy, our firstborn.
Okay.
So that's why she couldn't come, but I wish I would have taken her. I wish I would have figured something else out. So
I'm so glad you mentioned that. My like, it's just fascinating as we're talking. Our stories are really, really similar, including the mom element. My mom, she misses my son James very much, and at the same time, like, I don't know how to support you, having never experienced this, but there, slowly but surely, there are more women. We have a small segment of grandmothers who are searching for their own community, which is a fascinating thing that I never expected out of all of this. So that's just something to tuck away for the future. Talking out loud about that. So tell me, like, as you approached Gathering Hope, like, what were your thoughts and feelings? I know you said you were, like, as it approached, were you a little bit more hesitant, or were you eager to come?
I was kind of a little bit of both. I was excited to go because I knew I would be around other women that had experienced what I had experienced.
Sure.
So, I was excited about that element.
It's what you were looking for.
It was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So I was excited for that, but at the same time, I was apprehensive of the fact that I didn't know what was going to happen.
Okay.
And then I was also apprehensive of how I would react being there, and I remember just, not knowing how I was going to be, if I was going to break down before I hit the door, or if I was going to break down afterwards. I wasn't really sure, like, how I was going to react.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to be around other women that had experienced this.
Yeah.
And so risking the fact of looking ridiculous and crying my eyes out was worth being around other women that were going to understand what it's like to lose a baby.
So what did it end up being like for you?
So for me, once I drove up, I circled the parking lot like probably everyone else did too.
Yes.
I remember seeing cars circling.
You guys were all driving around yourselves, like,
we were driving around, just like debating. Okay, do we do this? And
yeah.
And I remember I left in the front door, and there was a volunteer there.
Yeah.
She was standing there, and I could tell she knew what was going on. Like, she was like, "I see you." I see you. And so I was like, okay, I gotta park. And then I parked the car, and I had actually gotten there early. And so I parked the car, and I just kind of sat there, and I just prayed. Yeah. And I remember just praying and asking God to protect me, but at the same time to allow that time to just be a sacred place for me to just release it. And He gave me strength and courage. And I'd already gotten that far with Him, so I was like, I'm not going to turn back now. I'm right here.
Yeah.
And so, and I got out of the car, and I went to the door. And I remember, I think the thing that impacted me the most was the volunteers. They were so kind and just like welcoming, and they were like, it was like bam, bam, bam. They were right there. Like, there was never a moment where I was awkwardly standing around looking.
You were speaking to my organizational heart.
Yes. So it was such an amazing experience, to be honest with you. From the moment I got to the front door to the moment that I left, it was so amazing. And the volunteers there, you can just feel how much love they have for you.
They really do. I don't know. Every year this happens, I walk away, Carol and I both walk away going, how did we get such wonderful, amazing people? And I'm joking about the organizational aspect of it, but we, like, literally half an hour before you guys arrive, we gather in the chapel area, surrounded it, prayed together as volunteers. And we talk about how every woman who walks in the door, we want her to feel loved and expected. And I'm so glad that is what happened for you.
Yes, that's exactly how I felt. I felt loved, and
Good.
I felt welcomed and expected.
Good.
And it was just an amazing experience. I remember going into the chapel and lighting a candle for Toby. That was amazing too. And then I remember the volunteers didn't let anyone sit by themselves. There was no way.
Sorry, but not sorry. I'm not sure what to say here.
No, that's a good thing, because I remember like kind of sitting there for a little while, and the volunteer that came up to me, her name is Christy Green, and we exchanged phone numbers, and she was just such a sweetheart, and she invited me to come sit with her. But before she got back, I had another person sit with me. And also, like, that was a connection that I made. And it was just an amazing experience. The entire thing, from the speakers to the breakout into the tables, into receiving the little swag bag for a free event, was awesome.
Good.
That just, touched me. So the whole thing was just amazing.
And thank you for saying that.
Yes, it was definitely amazing. It was my first time going. I didn't know what to expect, but it was just such an overwhelming pour of love.
Oh, good.
I could feel that.
Oh, and that makes that, I love hearing that. Thank you for saying that. And I'm so thankful that was what you were able to experience at Gathering Hope. Let me ask you this question. So we have, on October 26th, we have another gathering in Oklahoma City. And so I know there are moms who are, Gary, we're just about 2 weeks away. And I know there are moms who are sitting there thinking, like, yes, this is what I signed up to do. I am searching for community. I am looking for those women to talk to and connect with. But as time gets closer, they're starting to talk themselves out of it. So what would you say to that mom?
I would say, first of all, that you're going to feel like maybe you shouldn't go. You're going to get apprehensive. You're going to feel nervous, especially if it's your first time and you don't know what to expect. But I would encourage you to go. Go, because it is going to bless your heart in a way that you will not understand until you actually go.
Wow.
Motherhood. You don't really get it to the mom.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just encourage anybody who is debating on going or not going, go. It will bless you so much.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. I think I'm about ready to wrap it up, but is there anything else that you want to make sure and share with anybody before we close?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for allowing me to share Toby's story, but also for the event. It was such an amazing event, and I got to connect with other women and be in a space that was so sacred and safe for me to connect and share and grieve and cry. And it was just an amazing experience. So I just want to thank you for that as well.
Thank you. The reason that this works is because women show up and they stop relying on their own strength and they just they let the Lord take over. And I think that's a really beautiful place to stop. I can't do any better. Okay, thank you so much, Amparo. I'm so grateful for you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.